Jason had always believed that marriage was a partnership built on mutual respect, but lately, everything with Olivia felt like walking on a tightrope. She had started speaking to him in a way that was sharp, dismissive, and condescending, often making him feel small for even the simplest mistakes. The worst was when she smirked at him during arguments, the words cutting deeper than any harsh tone could. "You're a waste of my time." At first, Jason had tried to laugh it off, thinking she was joking. But the consistency of her words, the way she delivered them with that sharp, calculating gaze, made it impossible to ignore. Her friends didn't help. They were always around, whispering, giggling, and reinforcing her behavior. They would nudge her during dinner parties, whisper jokes about how Jason had no backbone, and laugh when he tried to assert himself politely. Jason started to notice the pattern. Whenever he attempted to stand up for himself or share his opinion, Olivia would scoff, cross her arms, and issue that same smirk. Her friends would laugh in agreement. It was a cruel performance, one he had become painfully familiar with. One evening, after another argument about something trivial, this time the way he had arranged the furniture in the living room, Olivia leaned back in her chair, smirked, and said the words he had come to dread. "You're a waste of my time." Her friends stifled giggles in the background. Jason didn't shout. He didn't beg for respect. Instead, he felt a quiet shift within himself. For years, he had bent to her whims, hoping that compliance would earn affection or acknowledgement. But now he realized that giving her time, energy, and attention hadn't earned anything. It had only reinforced the pattern. He took a deep breath and made a decision in that very moment. He would stop giving her what she treated as a commodity, his time, his energy, his patience. She wanted to smirk and belittle him. That was her choice. He would choose himself. He would reclaim the parts of his life she had manipulated, the hours she had dismissed, the conversations she had controlled. For the first time in months, Jason felt the weight lift, replaced by a calm, deliberate determination. He would no longer feed into her arrogance or the complicity of her friends. The following days were different. Jason didn't announce his decision. He simply acted. He stopped seeking approval for every minor choice, no longer waited for Olivia's nod before making plans, and quietly reclaimed the evenings he had once surrendered to her whims. When she expected him to fidget or plead for attention, he remained calm, composed, and engaged in his own life. Her smirk and dismissive tone still appeared occasionally, but it no longer had the power to unbalance him. Her friends noticed the change immediately. They expected the same old performance, the man bending under Olivia's commands, apologizing, justifying himself. But now, he spoke freely, laughed naturally, and acted with confidence, never directly confronting Olivia, yet asserting his presence in subtle ways that could not be ignored. One evening during a small dinner at their home, Olivia attempted to assert dominance by pointing out a minor mistake Jason had made with the table settings. She smirked, expecting a reaction. Jason simply smiled politely and said, "Noted." No guilt, no panic, no begging for forgiveness. The room went silent. For the first time, Olivia's friends felt uncomfortable. The laughter that used to follow her smirks died down. They realized that the game they had been enjoying, mocking Jason, encouraging his subservience, had evaporated. He wasn't argumentative, but he was untouchable. His patience, his quiet authority, and his refusal to allow disrespect to dictate his emotions created a shift in power that Olivia had not anticipated. Later that night, Olivia tried again, leaning against the kitchen counter, voice low but edged with frustration. "Jason, why are you acting like this? You can't just ignore me." He looked at her calmly, feeling the resolve he had cultivated over the past few days solidify. "I'm not ignoring you," he said quietly. "I'm done giving you what you've treated as a weapon against me. My time, my energy, my patience. They're mine to decide, not yours." The words landed like a hammer. She opened her mouth, but no retort came. The dynamic had shifted, and she could feel it. Jason had discovered something crucial. The more Olivia tried to control him, the stronger his self-respect became. The more she laughed and expected him to crumble, the clearer it became that the only power she had wielded was an illusion. And now, with quiet strength and unwavering calm, Jason had begun to dismantle that illusion piece by piece. The next weekend marked the turning point. Olivia had invited a few friends over, hoping to display her control and subtly mock Jason for his supposed obedience. They expected the usual display of submissive compliance, anticipating giggles and whispered jokes at his expense. Instead, they were met with a calm, confident Jason, moving through the evening effortlessly, engaging everyone in conversation, and subtly setting the pace for the gathering. The laughter that once fueled Olivia's sense of superiority was replaced by quiet uncertainty. Her friends exchanged nervous glances, realizing the man they had long underestimated was no longer playing their game. Olivia tried one last maneuver. She smirked pointedly, reminding Jason of the rule book she had so meticulously crafted, and expected him to flinch, apologize, or explain himself. But Jason simply leaned back, composed and unwavering, and said, "I followed the rules you set, but I decide how I live within them, not you." The words were simple, but the effect was seismic. For the first time, Olivia felt the weight of her actions reflected back at her. The control she thought she had exercised with precision and ridicule was crumbling. And the friends who had laughed at him now felt the discomfort of witnessing his quiet triumph. From that moment on, the dynamic shifted permanently. Jason didn't need to shout, argue, or demand respect. He simply lived on his own terms. He reclaimed his evenings, pursued his hobbies unapologetically, and engaged with friends without seeking her approval. Olivia's smirk appeared less often, replaced by uncertainty, frustration, and the rare admission that her attempts to dominate had failed. Her friends, once allies in her power play, grew silent or offered awkward support, recognizing that the balance had tipped entirely. By the end of the evening, the rule book lay forgotten on the coffee table, an impotent symbol of control that had never truly existed. Jason had learned a crucial lesson. Respect cannot be demanded through ridicule or manipulation. Power earned through fear or mockery is fleeting. True strength lies in patience, calm defiance, and the unwavering commitment to one's own dignity. As Olivia sat in stunned silence, Jason realized that he had not only reclaimed his time, energy, and self-respect, but also shifted the entire balance of their relationship. The laughter that once humiliated him had returned, but this time it served as confirmation. The game had backfired, and he was no longer the player being manipulated. He smiled quietly to himself, thinking, "You wanted to waste my time? Fine, I'm done giving it to you."